Hello, everyone. Today I am going to share with you about moderate intellectual disabilities. So we will jump on in. So you may be asking, what is moderate intellectual disability? So it does have a few other names, such as intellectual disabilities or moderate ID. Intellectual disabilities have several different tiers or sections, but we are just focusing on the moderate tier today. So oh my gosh, I get so tongue-tied. Let me start over. Hello, everyone. Today I will be sharing with you about moderate intellectual disabilities. So we will jump on in. You may be asking yourself, what are moderate intellectual disabilities? So it does go by or have a few other names. A typical one is moderate ID, or you may have just heard of intellectual disability or something else. So intellectual disability is actually has some tiers. So today we are just focusing on the moderate intellectual disability. So it is characterized by intellectual functioning and adaptive functioning. So this means that people with moderate ID are approximately 3 to 4 standard deviations below the mean. This is something that does have signs and symptoms, but a lot of times can be identified by IQ. So people with moderate intellectual disability typically fall between the IQs of 31 to or 35, to 51. And like I said, this can be identified later on in life. However, about 10% of people with moderate intellectual disabilities have been recognized by the ages between 3 and 5. So, some signs of moderate ID include learning or developing more slowly, difficulty communicating and socializing with others, as well as difficulty picking up on social norms or cues with your age range, and delayed rolling over, sitting up, crawling, and or walking, which would pertain to more younger children. So what does this mean? People with moderate ID typically function at a mental age of about 6 to 8 years as adults and need substantial ongoing support as adults to maintain independence. However, they can maintain relative independence in areas like self-care and daily living tasks, such as eating, dressing, and personal hygiene. The causes of intellectual disabilities, and specifically moderate intellectual disability, are unknown, but scientists think that it can relate back to genetics, environmental factors, and brain factors. So I have a few accommodations for you for what you can do in your classroom that I currently take place in my classroom. One accommodation that you can have for your students with moderate intellectual disabilities in your classroom is this monitoring assessment. So as your students are working, those who need it will have this flip cards. And so one page says I'm good, the next says working on it, and the final says I need help. So your students could use these as they are working through their tasks. It can lay flat on their desk and they can flip to what they need. And as you are walking around and observing your students, helping as needed, you can see which they are on, either the green, orange, or red, and you can help them as needed. You can also expand on this. So I color coded mine just because I think it's easy to say green is good, yellow or orange is iffy, and red means stop. Okay, so there was one accommodation I use in my classroom, and we'll move on to the
One
next one.
accommodation that you can
Oops.
have. One accommodation that you can have for your students with moderate.
Okay, let's click on to the next one.
Another accommodation that you can have for your students in your classroom with moderate intellectual disabilities is sight words displayed around the classroom or in somewhere where they can access it. So here I have just a model sight word chart. So this would be for week 4. So they would have one of these for each week of the school year. And then it just has sight words that you are working on for this week. Like I said earlier, this could be displayed around your classroom. For this specific one, what I had in mind was the student would have either a binder or chart or a folder or something, a resource that has all of these sight words in it that they can look back on, practice, and have as a resource when they need it.
Okay, so those are just two of the accommodations I use in my classroom. And we'll move on. So these are my sources for my information. I would be happy to take any questions if anyone has any. Thank you.